Yeah, we're live. Hey guys, welcome back to Critical African Thinkers. How is everyone doing? Remember, this is a place where we examine everything under the microscope of logic to ascertain what is most factual and logically consistent. So, in today's stream, we're going to be talking about the British teen who is kind of a celebrity right now, and he was facing some backlash for the kind of pranks that he was doing, kind of stupid pranks he was doing, stealing people's dogs, walking into people's homes unannounced or uninvited, doing some crazy things, right? Jumping over people, right? For which there was a backlash against him. There were calls for his arrest, and I think he was actually arrested and he was fined about 300 and something pounds or thereabouts. But then he's blamed the uproar on him being black. He's blamed it on racism, right? Which is not unsurprising for Westerners when things like this come up. I mean, people do crazy things, and then when there are repercussions to what they're doing, they can easily just shift the blame to racism. They can say that, oh, people are being racist against me. That's why things are going on like this. But it's so crazy that many of these young pranksters, they're getting so bold, doing so many crazy things, and they don't feel there should be repercussions. They don't feel that feel people should be uncomfortable with what they are doing. I mean, even in my country, there are some crazy pranksters that do some crazy things, and people are going to get hurt. I think there should actually be laws against doing some of these wild things that they're doing. And I know that most of the time they're doing it for clout, they're doing it for popularity, they're just doing it to provoke people so that they can get some or gain some notoriety. And that's why it was surprising to me that Piers Morgan, of all people, invited this guy on his TV show. I mean, Piers Morgan invited him to Piers Morgan on Uncensored, and then they had an interaction, right? Why are you inviting an unruly kid? Was what he wanted. He wanted the publicity, he wanted the fame, he wanted that outreach, right? And giving him this kind of publicity, because any publicity is good publicity, even though Piers Morgan and him, they had a shouting match, which made it look so childish and silly. We're going to review the video. I'm going to play that interview and just, go through it, which made it look silly, right? But giving him a platform like that is going to serve like an inspiration for other young kids to do the same thing, for other teens to do the same thing, where they're just going to do crazy stunts for clout. They're going to do crazy stunts for attention, knowing that the mainstream media or people in the media, they're going to call them out. They're going to give them a bigger platform. I mean, this kid could have fizzled out into fizzled out into oblivion, but for the fact that he was given this platform by Pierce, he's become a much more bigger celebrity. So we're going to review the video together. I think Piers Morgan is kind of an idiot anyway, but let's check the video. All right. Yep. So I'm just going to react to this video as we go along. Yeah. So
this week, a social media prankster named Mizzy has generated headlines and abject outrage for so-called pranks, which mostly involve just terrorizing innocent bystanders.
Get into random houses, let's go.
James. Right now, please.
James.
Hello. You got a nice dog?
Big gang, whole lot of gang shit. Get outside. I'm perfectly fine. You're gonna die. Serious question, you're gonna die.
Well, as public anger grew this week, London's Met Police announced they were looking for Mizzy, real name Bakari Bronzagaro. The law caught up with him, and today he was fined £365 and given a criminal behaviour order, which is supposed to ban him from posting to social media without the written permission of the people in his videos. You might think that's not much of a punishment or much of a deterrent. But what does he think? Well, fresh from the courtroom, he's here now. All right, well, good evening.
So, well, there are always repercussions to people's actions. So him being arrested and given that fine, I think was a good thing, right? And putting people's videos of people's lives online without their permission it's not a very good thing because they're not consenting to it. So if it's going to be a prank, I don't know how these pranksters do it. Do they seek the consent of the people that they make videos about to put online? I don't know, but I think it was a good thing for them to have told him that you can't be doing something like this. And I think that was such a light fine. It's something that he can easily pay off, and he'll just continue doing what he's doing. But so let's continue with the interaction with Piers Morgan and see how it goes.
Evening to you.
Hello, Piers. Long time no see.
What do you mean long time no see?
Last time I hopped on your thing with my friend.
Oh, that's right. You appeared in the background, didn't you? When we were digging into it,
mate.
Okay, well, I'm not your mate. What I am is an interviewer I'm curious about what has been motivating you to terrorize the people around where you live. Why do it?
I wouldn't really call it terrorizing. I'll just call it more having fun. But let's get this out of the way first. I apologize. You see this situation that blew up on the internet, the walking into random houses? The next day, I apologized to the woman because I felt bad, innit? Like, deeper than social media. Like, it went deeper than social media. That's why I didn't record it. She recorded me apologizing to her. I told her sorry, and she explained that she was terrified because her children were in the house. And I understood
What were you doing in the house?
What was I doing in the house? I don't know. It was a stupid video. Like, I got peer pressured to say. I don't want to say it like in that way, but
well, somebody else's fault.
I'm not blaming it on no one else.
I mean, you break into a house with a woman and a husband and
I went into the house on my own accord.
No, I'm just saying. Okay, you went through their door, right? But it's not your house. You're not supposed to be in there.
Oh no shit!
You are causing a lot of alarm to that poor woman and to her children who are in the house. You then terrorize this poor elderly woman and take her dog away and traumatize her.
So the story about that. Hang on. Let me speak. Yeah, because no. Let me speak. No.
I'm going to tell you.
Let me talk.
See, this is just a shouting match. I mean, did you invite this kid to have a shouting match with him? Right? You invited this kid. You probably wanted to hear his side of the story, or you don't. You want to just bash him on air. So why don't you let your guest talk? I mean, is there something about journalists? Is there something about journalism that says that you just have to be an ass? You just have to be an asshole to your guest, and you talk over them. You don't let them finish their points, right? You asked him a question, let him answer the damn question. Now you want to paint the narrative for him. The person who was guilty of the whole thing is right there in front of you. I think it would be much more productive to just let them hang themselves with their own words instead of trying to put words in their mouth, right? But Piers Morgan isn't doing that. He's trying to talk over this kid.
Talk about that situation.
No, for the viewers wait a minute. For the viewers who don't know what you've done, hold up. I'm going to tell them. So you hold on.
Right now.
No, you can hold on.
Right now.
I'm explaining. I'm explaining.
Know what's been happening.
Don't just keep talking like an idiot.
Right?
Don't. Let me finish what the viewers don't know you did. You go up and you do these things. You take a dog from an elderly woman. You leapfrog over the top of an Orthodox Jewish man standing at the side of the road minding his own business. You go up to women in the street and say, do you want to die?
It wasn't a woman, it was a man. And she even
There were also women that you did this to.
There was maybe a woman there, but I only say it to a man.
Right. You shouldn't be saying it to anybody.
Yeah. Fair enough.
Why, in the name of so-called prankster humor, why cause so much alarm and distress to so many people? You get your kicks out of doing that?
Because he's an idiot. I mean, he's a kid and they do stupid things. So that's one of the reasons why he's doing this. He wants clout, he wants attention, and you're playing right into his hands, giving him this interview, giving him this platform. I don't think this kid is an idiot. I don't think he's stupid. What he's doing is idiotic. I think what he's doing is dangerous, but this is exactly what he wants. He wants the publicity. He wants to be out there. He wants to be a celebrity for doing crazy things like this. And Piers is out here calling him an idiot, while at the same time giving him exactly what he wanted. This platform for him to be out there, for people to see what he's doing. That's exactly, this is what he wanted.
Not necessarily, but you could say that this whole public outroar just makes me laugh because people are getting hurt over something that didn't happen to them. And that's how I see it as.
What do you mean?
People are getting hurt over something that didn't happen to them. Everyone acts like they have this persona, like they don't care. Social media is a facade, this, that, and the other. But when me comes out and does the mad thing, everyone has something
It's
to
not
say.
a mad thing.
It's the mad thing. It's the mad thing. You already said it was the mad thing.
It's a mad thing. No, it's not mad. It's moronic.
Well,
it's the kind of thing anybody.
If it's moronic, it's exactly the same thing. I mean, why are you different with the choice of words? It's exactly the same thing. It's a mad thing, as the kid has said, right? But I think the uproar is warranted. You just can't be doing things. You just can't walk into people's homes unannounced. I mean, what if that guy had a gun and thought you were a trespasser? People can get hurt. You could have died.
You could do, and you do it for kicks, and you do it for clicks, and you get your little moment on TikTok, and presumably your peer group that you referenced earlier, they all think, good on you, Mizzy, this is hilarious. Meanwhile, some poor woman thinks you've stolen her dog and is traumatized. Another woman has her 2 kids, and you're bursting into their house uninvited.
All right.
Like you're jumping on Jewish people.
See, I was people. Hold up, wait a minute, wait, no, stop.
You did.
Cool, it was a Jewish person.
So this is where it gets interesting, right? I know earlier I said that this kid complained about racism. This kid was trying to paint a racial narrative that the uproar is because he was black or is because he's black. And he's wrong, right? But you see what Pierce is doing here. Pierce is also painting a racial narrative, trying to paint this kid as anti-Semitic. Oh, you're jumping on Jewish people. Oh, you picked on Orthodox Jewish people, right? But he wasn't specifically looking for Jewish people to pick on, as he's going to say later on. He wasn't targeting Jewish people. Yes, the person he did it to happened to be Jewish. So this is the thing that gets me about conversations about race in the West, right? Everybody's involved somewhat in the business of racializing things. You want to paint this kid as anti-Semitic. You want to paint him as him harassing Jewish people. He was harassing people, period. So how is this any different from his own claims that the reason why he's getting this backlash is because he's black? There's no difference, right? Everyone is trying to paint a racial narrative, a victim narrative, and Pierce is doing exactly the same thing. It's wild.
But there was a trend going around on TikTok called 300. I've done this to numerous people, black people, white people, Asian, any types of people. I don't discriminate. So don't stop saying Orthodox Jewish person like I only targeted him and it was only him that I went for.
Why are you targeting anybody in that
What
manner?
do you mean, why am I targeting anyone? It was a trend. It was a trend. I just done it for a trend.
What's the trend? What's the trend?
300, jump over someone at the time of the beat.
However much you scare them.
However much you scare them.
Or even if you push them into a car.
No, that didn't happen though, because I saw
it. Didn't happen by chance.
It didn't happen, but it didn't happen.
A lot of the stuff that you do could have consequences far more serious. But you don't care, do you? As long as you get a laugh.
I have remorse. I have remorse for all of these
things. You don't have any remorse.
What do you mean I don't have any remorse? How are you trying to tell me?
You have no remorse.
Are you in my life?
This is really, really childish, right? So you invite this kid over and you're asking him a question. You asked him that he doesn't have any remorse. He says he has remorse. And you're saying, no, you don't have any remorse. I mean, are you him? Are you in his head? Do you know what is going on in his head? How can you categorically dismiss what he's saying? I think there should be good follow-up questions. If you say you have remorse, I mean, it's not showing. Why do you say you have remorse? What have you done to show that you're remorseful about what happened, right? But to just dismiss what someone is saying, and to just, you already have Pierce already has his idea, and this is the thing he does, talk over his guests. He already has his idea of what he wants to say about that person, and he's not going to take what they're going to say. He's just going to keep pushing his own narrative. What the kid did was idiotic, stupid, yes, and dangerous, right? But I don't know if he's remorseful, but you should at least try to find out instead of just telling him categorically that he has no remorse whatsoever.
Life. Do you live in my life?
Huh?
Are you there for my pranks? Have you been there in my life?
What's your life? Tell me.
You tell me my life.
Presumably, this is whether...
Presumably,
you're about to
life.
Tell me the sob story, are you? What's the sob story?
What sob story? What sob story does Pierce think this guy has? What sob story does he think the guy wants to portray? Like he wants to sort of say he had a difficult childhood or...
There's no sob story.
Well, go on then. What's so bad about your life that makes you do
my whole
this?
life, innit? I just do it for fun. On or off camera, I do my thing.
Tell me about your life. What justifies this?
What do you
What's
talk about
happened
my
to you
life?
that makes you think you're just?
I don't understand Pearson. I mean, how can a serious news network even invite this guy in the first place? How can? Pierce is trying to get views of this young man because it's the thing trending right now. And yeah, probably me responding to this is trying to get views from what's trending right now. It's possible. Okay, I'm trying to put my thoughts out there. So you asking him why he's doing this is moot. Is a moot point because you know exactly why he's doing it. You know why he did all this thing. It was all for clout. So, and you're giving him exactly what he wanted, and you're asking stupid questions.
You're justified in doing this.
What do you mean? Tell me about my life.
Well, you said you know nothing about your life. Tell me about your life.
Because you're trying to get onto me because I'm black. Because I guarantee.
Because you're black.
Person, yeah, I guarantee. If
I don't give a damn about your skin color.
So this is where he reiterates. The young man reiterates that the Pierce is trying to paint this thing because he's black. Well, I think it's wrong. I don't think there's anything. I mean, stupidity transcends color, transcends race. Idiocy, like this young man, like he's doing right now, is not because people are not outraged because you're black or anything. So he and Pierce were exactly the same thing. Whipping out the racial narrative. Him and Pierce were exactly the same thing. Invoking race when it's not necessary to have a racial conversation.
Color?
Really?
No. Why would I care what color your skin is? Really? I just think you're an idiot.
Oh, thank you. I think you're an idiot too.
That's fine. You're perfectly entitled to.
So I think this is the most accurate thing that's been mentioned in this interview so far. Them calling each other idiots. I mean, both of them are actually idiots, right? Like the kid is an idiot for doing the sort of things that he's doing. But Pierce is much more of an idiot because he's a grown man. He's a grown man and he knows that kids do stupid things, right? And he knows that this kid is doing it for attention, for clout. And then he's playing right into the kid's hands and is feigning outrage as if he doesn't know what he's doing. He's feigning outrage as if he doesn't know that this kid wants this to happen. As if he himself is not benefiting from this situation, right?
Yeah, so are you. So
this show's called Uncensored. I think you're an idiot for what you've been doing. Okay. I also think you're an idiot for playing the race card when no one's mentioned your skin color.
Yeah, and he's an idiot for doing that. And Pierce is an idiot also for trying to paint him as an anti-Semite, for invoking, he was targeting members of the Orthodox Jewish community. Like that's some sort of anti-Semitism, right? It's just like people always claiming that they have any negative interaction with any white person, a black person is racism. So any negative interaction with anybody with a Jewish person is anti-Semitism. It doesn't make any sense.
Color.
Really? Okay, you don't have to mention it to.
I don't care about your skin color, Lizzie. I
But
care about the fact that
you apparently do care about his skin color, or you apparently do care about race because somehow you also brought it up.
Terrorizing all these people for a sustained period of time. I also care about the fact you've only got a tiny fine today, no deterrent to you whatsoever. You don't show any real remorse. You don't really care, do you?
The UK laws are weak, simple as. And that's the UK laws are weak, simple as, and that's not my fault. That's not my fault.
Well, he does have a point, right? So when laws are weak and people can take advantage of them, people can look at the loopholes. He knows that he's not going to get into trouble with the law. So probably they should be better laws about handling things like this so that it will serve as a deterrent for other people. But when you just have lax laws where anybody can do whatever, if it's not illegal, then you can hold him for anything. You can't blame him for anything. If it's not illegal, if the laws are not said that this thing is illegal, you can criticize him all you want, but he's free to do it because it's not illegal. And I think these things are dangerous because people are going to get hurt. Someone possibly is going to die because of these stupid pranks, which should be illegal in the first place.
Like in America,
what do your family make of what you've been doing?
What do my family make? Well, I don't chat to my mom anymore. And
why not?
Why not? Because I just don't talk to her. It's irrelevant to you, but I just don't chat to her, innit? Mm-hmm. And what else? My sisters are calm, but like obviously they don't fully commend what I do. But
do any of your family condemn what you do?
No, of course not. Like obviously
they think it's all perfectly normal.
No, there's certain videos that they'll be like, no, you can't be doing that. Like especially just walking into the random houses, man. Certainly not. But that was more of a spur of the moment thing. I just got egged on and my ego got a hold of me. And I realized that at that moment, and that's why I went to apologize the next day. After it all blew up out of proportion, and I felt like bad personally.
I don't think you felt bad.
Okay, well you can
think
say
you
that.
felt bad.
You can say that. I'm
I think
telling
you felt bad.
No, see, you're interrupting me. Why are you interrupting me? I'm talking. I'm talking.
Yeah, it's fine.
Good Lord.
I'm talking.
Carry on being an idiot.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, we are siding the districts every time.
I'm actually not
Remember
going to
that.
call you Mizzy because it's obviously a stage. I'll call you Bakari Bronze, right?
All right.
Bakari Bronze. Let's try and talk to each other as human beings.
Right,
So
all right?
now Pierce wants to talk to him as a human being, right? After talking to him as an animal, right? All this while. Now you want to talk to him as a human being because he's giving you back that energy. You're not letting your guest talk. And this isn't just about this young man. This is what he does all the time with his guests. He's not going to let them talk. He's going to talk over them. He's going to, which is not very, you should let your guests talk. Instead of arguing with them, is this some sort of weird debate thing? I know you're doing this to make the show much more interesting, make it much more engaging. But at times it's best to let your guests talk, ask good follow-up questions, let them clarify their position, and if not, let them hang themselves with their own words instead of trying to put words in their mouth. Now you want to have a human conversation.
I'm trying to understand why there's no real remorse here. Why do
There's
you
no
not
real
understand
remorse. What do you mean? Why there's
the
no real
consequences of your
remorse? I went
actions
to
have
go
been?
apologize off social media. I could have recorded that apology, and that would have been another viral video. Whether it's hate or whatever, literally, hate brings money, hate brings likes, hate brings views. It doesn't matter. Love or hate, it still brings views.
Why do you prefer to do the hateful stuff?
So the young man understands clearly how social media works, right? He's going to do outrageous things to get attention. And this man has been telling you exactly why he's doing this. He wants attention, he wants the clout. And Pierce is explaining ignorance.
It's not like I prefer to do the hateful stuff. It's just like it's easier to do the hateful stuff.
Why are you laughing?
And
It's fun.
obviously, I don't think it's fun, but you're a funny person.
You do think it's funny?
You're a funny person.
You do. I've seen the videos. You do
Obviously,
think it's just really funny.
At the time, I think it's funny. My fan base thinks it's funny, and it's we outside, innit? It's a movement. But
What's the
deep
movement?
down,
What's the movement?
deep down, being free and not letting anyone tell you nothing. That's why I can do all of this stuff. I'm the most hated person on the internet right now.
No,
But
you're not.
yes,
Most
I
people
am.
don't know who you are.
Okay then, whatever
Yeah, you're the most hated. Who do you think you are? Andrew Tate.
you say, innit? Whatever you say.
Most people watching this will have never heard of you and care
Whatever you
even
say.
less.
Well, now they are.
Exactly. They would never have heard of him, but now they are going to hear of him because he's on Piers Morgan, he's on mainstream media. So much more people are going to know about him. Many kids are going to search out his content. Many people, they're probably going to be people who want to get fame using the method that he just did. He just used. Courtesy Piers Morgan.
Oh, that you just brought it to me.
They'll just look at the way you're behaving now and they'll think, yeah, he's a complete moron.
All right, and you're a complete moron. You keep cutting me, interrupting me when I'm trying to talk.
Because you keep talking in this animated manner, trying to stop me asking you any questions.
Stop you asking you any question. Are you stupid? Is he trying to stop you? No. The young man is trying to answer the questions that you asked him. You never let him finish, and then you cut him off because you want that sound bite. You're not letting him explain his position. Why did you bring him on in the first place if you're not going to let him talk? If you're going to talk over him, he doesn't interrupt you in the middle of your question. You're the one being belligerent here.
And then you say, is it because I'm black? As if somehow it's
See,
about a
he's
racial
going back
thing.
to the race card. Why are you going back to that? I said that once.
No, you mentioned it.
I mentioned it once.
I've never once mentioned your skin color.
All right, cool. Go on.
I don't care what color you are.
For racism, Mizzy won, Pierce won. It's a draw. Both of you invoked race, idiots.
If you were white, I'd have exactly the same view about your moronic behavior.
All right.
But I'm curious, who in your family is there to tell you this?
Why do you need to go to my family? I'm my own person, so talk about me.
Because you
don't.
don't.
No.
Because you don't
talk about me, not my family.
Yes, but here's the problem.
What's the problem?
You are clearly a product of your upbringing.
No, I'm not. I'm my own person. I've always been my own person.
You've had no one to tell you this is wrong.
Of course, people have told me it's wrong. Family, friends, everyone's told me it's wrong.
Who's told you it's wrong?
What do you mean? My own mother told me it's wrong.
This is the funny thing, right? So you're asking that, it probably came from a broken home, it's come from a bad family, which is possible, but at times there are people who are just who they are. There are people who, despite where they come from, despite being from a good family background, despite being from they just turn out to be idiots, or they just turn out to be criminals, or just turn out to... Having a good family background is not a guarantee that someone is going to turn out well. It increases your chances, right? But it's no guarantee. So this guy could have had fantastic upbringing for all we know, but he chose to be this way. He chose to be this unruly, and he's going to have to pay for his own actions, right? It's not going to be the fault of his family, although that's important, right? I mean, parents should be able to raise their kids properly. They should teach them good values, right? To respect others, to not do crazy things like this. But ultimately, it's about the person committing the act.
In situation between me and my mum, where
Right. So your mother doesn't like what you're doing.
Of course, yeah.
So why don't you stop doing it?
Because
my mother told me to stop doing something.
Okay, that's your mother. You listen to your mother. You listen to somebody.
So when your mother tells you to stop doing something, stop doing anything at all, you just stop. I mean, you were never a teen who was disobedient. You were never a teen who was belligerent. You were upstanding citizen, which is hard to believe considering how you turned out. I mean, you're an asshole, as I can say.
To somebody else. I'm my own person. I'm legally an adult now, so I can do what I want.
What are you going to do now?
What am I going to do now? Twitter, Mizzy is banned, and I'm going to be on Twitch. Yeah, I'm going to start streaming on Twitch.
So now he's advertising himself. I think that Pierce and this guy are in cahoots. I mean, I think they all arranged this thing. I mean, there's probably someone sponsoring this man. They're trying to create another celebrity, right? Because now you're giving him just notice, Pierce is not going to interrupt him now that he's advertising himself. He's getting free adverts. He's selling himself. Pierce is not going to interrupt him. He's just going to let him sell himself so that more people can find his stuff.
Twitch, IRL streams, gaming streams. My Twitch is Mizzy is live if you want to get at that. But yeah.
And do you want to try and come up with a sincere apology or not?
No, I don't need to come up with no sincere apology. I already have my own remorse, and I already.
You don't have any remorse, do you?
What do you mean? Okay, then whatever you.
To you, it's all a bit of a joke.
It's not going to matter to PS whether he apologizes or not. I mean, the kid has said that he apologized to the couple that he walked into their home, but PS totally dismissed that. So there's no apology right now. PS isn't looking for an apology. No.
And if you steal some old woman's dog, it's all a bit of fun. If you jump on a Jewish man, it's all a bit of fun. If you run into people's houses with young kids and terrorize them, it's all a bit of fun.
Well, what I'm saying to you
nothing
is,
really matters.
What I'm saying to you is there's been plans to change up everything. And you're just no help in it. You just talk your own thing. You have your own set morals, and yeah. So that's you.
No, it's not about morality.
Okay, cool. Whatever you say. I was still talking. You interrupt me again, Piers.
Okay,
Piers Morgan, why'd you keep interrupting me?
Let me tell you, we're going to put both of ourselves out of this misery, and we'll just end it there because
you should end it.
As I said at the start, you're just a complete moron.
And so are you.
So until you stop being a moron, you will be treated like a moron. You are Mizzy,
the man didn't really
the moron. For the record, he wasn't
August.
paid for this, obviously. I feel like paying viewers, actually. I've just put up with it.
Oh, good Lord. So this should have been titled Battle of the Idiots, right? Because what exactly happened there? What was the point of that interview? What exactly was the point of that? To have a shouting match with a kid. This is what journalism is right now. This is Piers Morgan is no better than this kid. Is really no better than this kid. Well, Atmos Theory said this is Jerry Springer. Let me put the link in the description so people can call it, and let's have a conversation, right? So, what do you guys think about all this? All this manufactured outrage. Yep. Yeah. So let me just go through some comments. So Stanley said, Charles condemning the racial narrative outright. There shouldn't be a racial narrative. Is a weak argument. Why is it a weak argument, right? Why do people always default to race? Why should there be a racial argument to this interaction? Why? I don't understand why they should be, right? So also said Pierce is looking for an opening to do his narrative. Of course, Pierce has his own agenda. He wants to do his own narrative. Exactly. So like Pierce wants to hear a black and poor ghetto narrative. That is it. And the kid called him out on that, right? You're trying to paint him into, oh, he was a kid who grew up in a ghetto. That's how they behave. That's the ghetto behavior. I mean, people can be stupid, right? Even with a good upbringing, they can turn out to be stupid. So Pierce already has a narrative that he wants to push. Now he just needs this kid to play along, and the kid did not play along with him. He didn't play nice. Yeah, to bring in a toxic culture robot. Stanley says, I never underestimate Pierce's ignorance. That is a buffoon. Oh my goodness. Ah. Okay. So Atmosphere said, I'm going to buy a camera right after this so I can join next time. Well, you can call in with your cam off, and let's have a talk. Let's have a show. Your camera doesn't have to be on, but it's cool. It's cool. So Stanley is on. Hi, Stanley. Hi,
Hey,
Stanley. How you doing?
can you hear me?
Yeah, yeah, loud and clear.
Uh,
Can you hear me?
yeah, might be.
I can hear you very well. So maybe check your mic or something.
Is this better? No echo?
Yeah, no echo. No echo. It's
Okay.
good.
Um, I think you did a great job at breaking this down.
Thank you.
So, I don't have much to add. Pierce is not the best interviewer, at least on these sorts of topics. So, um, it is Pierce Morgan still on British TV?
I, I I don't even know. I think it's still a British TV, right? That show should still be a British show. Yeah, I think so.
Okay. Well, I mean, I don't have much to add. I just think that, I guess my take is Pierce Morgan is part of the problem, not part of the solution.
Yep, I think so too. I think
And
so
this
too.
kid, um, he's part of the problem. So it's problems interviewing problems.
Exactly. I mean, this kid clearly, we can say he's an idiot for all we care, but he knew exactly what he was doing. He wanted the clout. He wanted the attention, right? And people are feeding into it. Pierce is feeding into it. I mean, when I first saw the invite from on Twitter, I saw the invite that Pierce had said, "Oh, he's going to be interviewing this kid." I was like, "Really? Seriously? I mean, you're going to do an interview with this kid with this kind of behavior? You you're feeding into what he wants. This is what he wants. He wants the attention. And for Pierce to be acting all ignorant, like he doesn't know what's going on, it's silly.
I honestly, um, and I really shouldn't be beating up Pierce Morgan. Um, and was it you or Atmos that brought up Jerry Springer? That kind of style of show.
Yep.
Um, it's essentially generate controversy or a kerfuffle. That's what it's. Solutions aren't the goal.
Mm,
Getting clicks is the goal,
true.
and you know it got clicks, I guess.
I think that makes a lot of sense, right? And it's the same thing with with the current culture war that's going on between conservatives and liberals in the West. Most people are not really interested in solutions, right? They are just interested in getting the clicks. They're interested in getting the attention. They're interested in getting the viewership, the followership. So it's all social media. It's all it's all attention, right? There's nothing substantive. That's why I would, it will look as if I'm bashing Glenn Lowry now, but that's one of the reasons why I really kind of stopped watching Glenn, because it was almost the same show every week with John. I mean, it was basically the same thing being said, and I'm like, okay, so at what point are we going to stop talking about the same thing, right? Let's talk about something else, right? So
Uh, I don't want to get into Glenn Lowry, but I think your analysis of getting clicks, um, it's the same model. I don't think Glenn Lowry and John McWhorter are above Pierce Morgan level analysis. They just have more degrees.
true.
And I watched a portion, and I'll finish it at some point. And I don't want to get too much into it, but my take on it is Glenn Lowry isn't that much better than Pierce Morgan. Well,
No, no, that's arguable.
know,
No, no,
I
no.
know you're gonna kill me on this,
Yes,
but
I am.
I don't see um, erudition.
No, no. I think Glenn is good. I like him. I like his points, but saying the same thing all over and over. I don't like hearing the same thing over and over again. It just irritates me. Right. So
Well,
okay.
I think that Glenn is, and no, I'll stop here. It's not going to be all about Glenn, but
Mm,
I'll send you the link. Um, you need to watch at least Glenn and John were talking. Um, it is just the same kind of Pierce Morgan thing. They just use bigger words.
All right. So Oge has a question for you. Right. He says,
Oh
Stanley,
no.
please, can you touch on why you think, quote, there shouldn't be a racial narrative is a weak argument? Right. You made a comment about.
Well, for this particular topic, bad
Yeah.
behavior,
Mm,
why is that racial? Is bad behavior particular to a race? Ogie?
mm. Okay, so I get what you're saying. So Atmos, it's not we're not talking about Glenn Beck, we're talking about Glenn Lowry and Glenn Federer. The,
Oh
the
no,
black
we're
guy's
talking. Oh wait,
endogenous.
hold it. Now, Glenn Lowry is like a skyscraper. Glenn Lowry is like a two-story walker. I'm sorry, Glenn Lowry is a skyscraper. Glenn Beck is like a cheap walk-up.
Oh, good
There's
Lord.
no comparison.
Yeah, yeah. But the thing is, how do smart people fall for this kind of thing, and how do smart people for this playing into the norm per se, right? You're just feeding the narrative, you're just feeding the sort of the outrage machine. There's really nothing substantive about what you're doing. It's just how, I mean, Glenn is smart, so how come he can't like see that? He can't see that.
I'm gonna be honest with you, and this is gonna piss some people off. I think Glenn is just kind of amusing himself. I think Glenn is toying with us.
Mm,
Um, now, I'm not going to get into detail, but Glenn Lowry knows what time it is. And I think some of it, um, I think Glenn Lowry in his personal life leads a very, like, dude has accomplished much. You talked about how do smart people solve stuff? They don't do it on YouTube.
Hmm.
They do, they don't talk.
Hmm. Wow, that's interesting.
Well, it's not interesting. It's how you get stuff done. You don't talk about it,
True.
you do it.
You
And
do
you
it
talk
exactly.
to the right people.
Yep.
Um, you interviewing some kid about his actions that are very questionable, that's not how you solve stuff. You're interviewing and trying to get to understand why this kid did bad behavior. They're about 1,000 to 1 bad behavior to 1,000 good kids. And I think we tend to lose that perspective. For every one a-hole kid, they're about 100, 200, 500. There are good kids out there. Why are we not
True.
interviewing them?
True. 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 Well, because as the kid said, bad
Because
behavior
they're
stops.
boring. They,
Yep.
they don't create clicks.
True. 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 So, one thing I wanted to talk to you about, interesting interaction I had on Twitter, right? So, a black man, made a tweet about, he got a compliment from a lady, right? The lady said that he had a nice car, and she complimented him. And then when he was driving off, he saw that she entered the same kind of car, right, with him, but just a different color. And they were at a traffic stop. She complimented him again and said that they should probably have dinner. And then he said
He should
no.
have. He should have floored it and got away.
So, so he said no, and
Good.
the reason why he said no was that she was white. So I then asked him that why was white, was that a deal breaker for him? He said yes. I said, so why was white a deal? Why would her being white? I mean, he said she was
Well, let
pretty
me.
and all that. So why is white being a deal? Why was it a deal breaker for you? And then all these black women were up blowing smoke up my ass, saying all this stuff that I should have read the very black room and shut the fuck up. And I was like,
Well, I
really?
tend to I understand your point, but if the first thing a woman says is like she doesn't know you or anything like that, if the first thing she says is you have a nice car, run.
Why?
Get in your car and drive away.
Why?
Um, if the first thing she notices is your car,
She has the same car. She probably liked the guy and she saw something in common and she wanted to build rapport. So she has the same car.
you know what? I'm going to take the Ogie line. I'm just an old grumpy. but, but no, honestly, back in my day, um, I've been told I have a nice car before, but some woman who has the same car, and I understand what you're saying. It wouldn't have grabbed my attention. I would have said, "Thank you. You have a nice car too," and that would have been that.
Yeah. So I was just trying to understand, why being white was a deal breaker, right?
Well,
It
I
was
don't
him.
agree with
If
that.
he was,
You
yeah.
know, let me get more
And
shallow.
and And the funny thing was that there were lots of black women on the thread who were just, praising him for being a black king, for turning down a white woman. They they were so happy. They were
Well, was this a rich black dude or what? I'm not familiar with the story.
Well, he had. It's not really a story. It's just some guy on Twitter. But he had, I think, about he had about 100 and something thousand followers. So he should have some sort of influence. So yeah.
Yeah, man, I'm old because I would much rather meet a woman, white, black, or a good looking woman. I
Mm.
would much rather, I'm going to sound so old. Cars are not the biggest relationship builders, in my opinion. Nice car, I'd say thank you. Maybe I'd say, well, what else do you do? you know, you know, you know me, Charles. I would have said something like that. Like,
Yeah. So tomorrow I'm going to be having a show on what is white, because I asked this question on Twitter, and funny enough, no one has been able to define white. Not even white people. I mean, a white guy told me after having back and forth, he told me that honestly, I've been white all my life, but I honestly can't answer that question. I mean, I honestly can't tell you, or I honestly can't define what white is. Okay, someone's coming on. Who? Hey, Tricky. Hey, how you doing?
Ignore me for a little bit. I'm gonna get set up.
I just, you know what? That's not a show that I'm going to join in because I know Steve does not want to be interrupted. I will watch, but I will not call in unless Steve asks me to, and he's not going to ask me to.
Well, well, you watch. That'll be good. Hey, Tricky, how you doing?
Good. How are you? It's
I'm
Atmos.
fine. Oh, Atmos. Oh. Welcome to the show. So, jump right in. What are your thoughts on what we've been discussing so far?
Um, so I think it's all kind of silly, but I think you're very insightful. I think that what they're presenting to us is everybody has to have a really loud bumper in my neighborhood. I think what they present to us is very silly, and the way you react to it is quite silly.
True, true. But is this some sort of thing that the Western media does? As in, there are no good stories anymore. They're not captivating stories. They just want to this shallow stuff. I mean, this is what's in the media right now. Are they becoming like, oh, social media? Everyone wants to jump on the trend on social media.
Yeah, definitely. It's a combination of both clickbait and deep state. So it's the combination of the two of them together. So I mean, I think maybe the clickbait is more taken over more, but there's also the deep state aspect of it as well.
Can you explain the deep state part of it? Because
Just politics in general. Powerful
mm,
people trying to mold society in a way that makes them enriched.
mm,
And that's they know obviously if you want to gain more power, you find a way to do that.
true, true. I mean, politicians are always trying to push certain narratives, right? I mean, if the narrative is going to be a narrative of division, they're going to push it. I mean, I think politics is
Yeah, and that's been going on
yeah,
since Jim Crow. I mean, we can go probably even further back to Egyptian times for that. I
yep,
mean, that's
yep.
just the way power rolls.
It's been going on for the whole of human existence, right?
Yeah,
People
exactly.
who want power are going to do things, right? And they're not going to be they're not going to come out clear about it, right? They're going to be manipulative about it. They're going to
Oh,
push
sorry, I'm
narrative.
losing you.
Oh, okay. They're going to push certain narratives to just get people riled up, right? Like what's happening with most of these politicians. The funny thing is that most of these politicians, they have dinner together. They're friends. They know each other. Their families are sort of friends, right? So they come on air and they put on a show for people as if they're having disagreements, right? And
Yeah,
behind closed doors, they're cool. They're not really going to do anything against their interests because their interests are aligned, right? They want power, and they're in power. They want money. They want influence. They're not going to do anything to jeopardize that. So all the disagreements is all a show for the electorate, right? It's just a show for people to. There is really no choice. I mean, for me, I think American democracy is, it's it's only slightly better than China's, right? China has a one-party system, and US has. Where is there really a choice where both parties, it's either the candidate of both parties that you have to choose from? Is that really a choice, right? There are no other options. So if both are terrible candidates, like we saw with the
Yeah.
with Joe Biden and Trump, you don't have a choice. You have to vote for one terrible candidate, or you choose not to vote, and someone a terrible candidate goes in anyway.
Yeah, that, you, I agree with everything you said. I don't have anything to add to it.
That's cool.
Well, I do.
Oh, so go ahead, Stanley.
Um, whether we want to admit it or not, politicians do what their voters want them to do. And it's a 50-50. When I hear stuff like deep state and like the government is independent of their voters, that's not true.
So how would you
Period.
explain
People,
how much of an
people.
influence do you
I
think
mean,
people
I
have?
live in Georgia. Um, there was Kelly Loeffler and forget the dude's name. They got voted out twice. Herschel Walker didn't win. So the bottom line is the people may have very little power, but
I agree.
there is power. And you go to Florida, Jacksonville, Florida. Um, DeSantis is supposed to be the king of Florida. Guess what? A Democratic mayor won in the biggest city in Florida. And DeSantis is supposed to be like controlling everything. A Democratic woman won Jacksonville. I didn't know this. Jacksonville's bigger, at least population wise, than Miami. And a Democrat won in a very red state that woke goes to die or whatever goes to die.
Mhm.
Um, people, voters, they have more control than they think they do.
Probably.
Yeah, absolutely.
So there is no deep state. The people are the deep state. And I'm sorry, the people are the deep state. They will elect over and over and over again their mirror image. If the majority of people want a Marjorie Taylor Greene, and she lives like one district up from where I live in Georgia, those people want her. So, I mean, you're not
She's
going,
crazy.
those voters, and they voted for her twice. So they're getting what they voted for. But they can vote her out.
I guess God, I'm y'all are all into politics. I'm not into politics that much, so I'm gonna sound like an idiot, but I'm just gonna do diarrhea of the mouth if that's okay.
No, go ahead.
Okay.
I'm listening. And I'll mute.
And no, I agree with both of you. Actually, that's why I love your show. That's why I'm always like checking in on what y'all
Yeah.
have to say. Because I think both of y'all are right. And it's just like a combination of the two. And I think where I get disillusioned is the fact that we had the choice between Biden or Trump. Both of them, to me, were disgusting candidates. I'm sure you both agree with that.
Yeah, sure.
You and I don't think Trump did a horrible job in comparison to previous presidents, but him as a person was disgusting, like gross. And then, but I just think we have way better people in the world that should be president, and somehow these people like worm their way up because they're like sleazy little snakes into the political system, and then they end up being the only candidates we can choose from when there's much
Exactly.
better options.
Exactly. Exactly. I think that's spot on, and that was where I was driving to, right? Because ultimately, what is presented to the people is very limited, and it is what it is. If you have all round terrible candidates, you still have to choose between terrible candidates, right? There's no choice outside
But
that.
let me. The thing is I totally agree. But the thing is, American politics, the people who should be running for president, they have never run. The last, and I know this is going to sound weird, the last person that was like everybody loved him, like there 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 is no doubt that we want him, was literally George Washington.
So after George
There
Washington,
was no one opposing George Washington, and ever since then, there have been like, a lot of people who may want something. George Washington was the last person that everybody was like, oh, can't think of a better candidate. Jefferson versus Hamilton, two opposite sides. Both wanted George Washington, and he had the good sense to quit after 2 terms. He didn't want to do it in the first place. And the smart people aren't going to like, and you'll disagree.
Maybe not.
Only the crazy narcissist people.
Yeah, I agree.
And Obama, even I'm not going to talk, his specific policies. Or I thought he was accomplished. But any black man with that level of accomplishment, even Obama was a narcissist. I'm
of
like,
course,
you know what? My son, who's accomplished, if he decided when he's like 30 something and I'm alive and he went, Daddy, I'm going to run for president, I might have a heart attack on the spot.
Yeah.
Why?
It's like, Jesus, why would you do that to yourself and your family? And you know what? I can move to Tahiti and I don't have to hear about it. But why would, and it's not money, it's not anything. It would be lovely if he were president, but the competent people, it's not, it's like the Supreme Court thing, like they could be making millions of dollars if they weren't Supreme Court justices at their level. Everyone who did it is making a huge sacrifice because they're not making millions of dollars.
Sure.
And I want to leave it there. But my point is the smart people, the people who value living a good life, there's no reason to be a Supreme Court justice.
It's just more of a narcissist position, really.
And I'm harsh when I say narcissist, but honestly,
there's different types. There's narcissist that's actually like closer to sociopath, and then there's just people that are really confident, really, which is
dude, I'm a pretty confident person. Back in my 20s when I had no vices, hell no, I never thought about it. Never thought about politics. Why would I do that to myself and my family? Why would I bring my kids?
Yeah.
Go back to Jimmy Carter and Amy Carter. That poor little girl at like 12 years old. Um, it was horrible. You're not old enough to remember Jimmy Carter as president. I am. Um,
I actually, yeah, I'm older than I look. So go ahead.
but the bottom line is the kids. I'm like, so I'll stop there because I've talked a lot, but
No, I
no,
like it.
no sane person. I wish it were different, and I'm not sure that it can be different. I think the sane people are behind the scenes people.
Mm. Cool.
I'll just short interjection. I'm not sure if you've ever heard of Bill Hicks.
Bill Hicks, the comedian.
Yeah, where
Yeah.
he talks about they got all these grand ideas before they go into office, and then they show them the JFK assassination. Basically, I really think that's kind of what's on point. I think he's a prophet. I think he was right about that.
Well, here's the point. There are several comedians that I think would make better presidents.
Yeah.
Hi, Anand. Welcome to the show. So, just a few minutes.
I mean, let me ask you a question.
wrapping up soon.
You don't think that someone like not Richard Pryor, I mean, like, not Bill Hicks, but someone that is who would it you obviously like comedy because Bill Hicks is not a huge name. I think there's several comedians that would make better presidents.
You could like throw a dart in a board and be better
Like
president than what we got right now.
like Zelensky.
Yeah, he's
So,
doing a great job.
so final question before we go, since we're on the topic of comedy, right? Who do you think is the greatest comedian in your opinion that you've ever watched?
Oh, for me, well, it's all subjective, right? Everybody has a
Yep.
different thing that they love. For me, the most, and I don't know if I'll go into the story because I'll cry. But Anthony Jeselnik,
Really?
Really?
Oh my lord!
because I'll give you a brief one that
Oh,
won't make you
please
cry.
do. I want to hear this.
Well, my wife passed away, and I was watching. I just needed that dark humor to heal, and I posted on Twitter to him, and he just made the rudest comment back, and it just made my day because that was exactly what I was
Really?
expecting from him. I was just like, oh God. Anyway, darkness. When you're in a dark place, you want that darkness, I guess. So.
Mm. Anthony
Well, you
Jeselnik.
and I need to talk offline one of these days on a Discord or somewhere. We have a couple things in common, but if I had to pick a comedian, and this would never happen, my favorite comedian, Paul Mooney.
Oh yes,
Oh
God,
my God.
he is such an asshole. I love him.
No, but you know what?
No,
I've never heard anything Mooney said that was like way off kilter. Like
no.
it would always be like, yeah, that's a little extreme, but he's not wrong.
It's the way he delivers it is very extreme, but what
Yeah.
he's saying isn't.
Hmm. So
No.
for me, the greatest, undisputed comedian, and I'll tell you why I think he's the greatest comedian is
You can't say Dave Chappelle because that didn't count.
no. It's Norm Macdonald.
Oh
Um,
yes,
Oh,
yes.
Norm Macdonald is the greatest comedian ever. Why? Because
Yes.
he's so smart, but he acts like this idiot, right? He runs circles around people. You are the butt of the joke. I mean, people are usually the butt of his joke. They don't get it. And the fact that he doesn't give a damn, he doesn't care whether you get his jokes or not. He, I mean, for me, if I watch comedy, once I know the punchline, it becomes unfunny to me. I can't watch it again. But Norm Macdonald's comedy is so refreshing that I can watch it. I can over and over and over and over again, and it's still funny because he's not trying to be funny. He's just funny. He's just going to tell a ridiculous story that has no point. I mean, he will tell you that not everything has a point, right? He just tells some ridiculous story, and the punchline is so silly. He'll craft a very good story and tell a very ridiculous punchline, and you're like,
But
"Good
the
Lord."
thing Norm Macdonald did, and I think Dave Chappelle does this. You think he's going one way, and then he misdirects
Yeah,
off until like, oh my God, the misdirection that
and it's so
someone
simple. It's
like
so
Norm
simple.
Macdonald did. You think he's going one way. You think he's zigging and he zags. And that was his brilliance.
I mean, Nom was the best, the greatest, undisputed for me. He was.
I don't have an argument against.
Can't hear you, Tricky. Yeah, can't hear you. Still can't hear you.
The microphone's in his cigarette.
All
Now
right,
we'll
guys.
hear him.
So I think this would be a good place to draw the show to a close.
Hey,
Tricky, why don't you
Tricky,
join the Discord? Are you on Discord?
We have got to talk again.
Yeah. If you're not on Discord, I'm going to put the Discord link on the description of this video so you can join. We have fun on Discord. We have good fights, and the most brilliant insults is on Discord. All right, guys. Thank you very much for coming, Stanley. Thank you, Tricky, and thanks for Anand. Thanks every other person that came to the show today. I'll catch you guys tomorrow when we talk about what is white. What is whiteness?
Best show ever, Charles.
Thanks, Stanley. Thanks. Bye,
Bye.
guys.